So I'll start. Thank you all for coming. Last session, I think. So I really appreciate the attendance. But I'm Tammy Becker. I work for SAP. I am on the Global RISE team. So I run the high growth programs globally for RISE. And it is a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti Shetty. I'm the Global VP of Business AI Adoption and Activation, and I work for the Business AI group at SAP. We help customers actually activate and adopt Business AI once you buy your SAP products. And I'll talk more about how we can help during the presentation. Over to you.
Thank you. I get to tee everything up for Shruti, so I appreciate that. She is the expert in AI. But I want to talk a little bit about the evolution and where SAP is, why we're doing what we're doing. And while I do this, I'll tell a little bit about myself too. So if anybody has heard me say this, you get to hear it again. I started with SAP back in 1994. So I hit my 30-year anniversary. I did not start when I was 12, but I've been here for a while. And on July 27th, I got a beautiful email from Christian Klein that I am absolutely positive that he sent to me himself. Not really, but I got a $300 gift card to Amazon. I thought it was fantastic until my husband said, "That's great, Tam, $10 a year." I told him to keep his finance stuff to himself. But back when I started in 94, we were actually, we sold a lot of software for a couple different reasons. One, we were very flexible. So our customers could customize, they could build enhancements, write user exits, and create what we now call technical debt. And then, of course, the Y2K scare, which we all know how that did not happen. But we started back then. SAP was a very flexible system. I started on R3. One of my favorite things was writing custom code. But as we started to move through the evolution of software, does anybody remember mainframes and the green screens? It's very hard to see hands raised in here. That's where I started. When I started at SAP, we were into client server. What I thought was really interesting, though, is when we moved into the portal and the internet. Anybody remember creating a help ticket, like an IT ticket or an HR ticket when you were working in a mainframe environment? It was a miserable experience. So the portal was fantastic. Everything was more user experience. Everything started to focus more on, how can I interact with the system in a more friendly way, which I thought was great. But if you keep on going through, we're now into 2024, which blows my mind. And if you look at where we've come, back when we started, there was no internet. There were no millennials. I actually hate that part of that slide. But now we're into AI. And we're into the better technology. And I think this is so interesting. When you think about your personal lives, how many people still have a phone line in their house? Anybody? So I asked this question one day and I said, why do you still have that? And they said for 911, in case everything goes down, their phone line would still work. You hope. But in my house, I turned mine off probably 10 years ago. Because everybody in my house had phones, cell phones. So we're working in our personal lives with technology meant for 2024, moving into 2025. Why would you not want to do that from a business perspective? And a lot of that is why SAP really started to move towards RISE. We don't want our customers working with yesterday's logic. We want them moving into the future. One of the things that we hear from our customers, and these are the ones that are really moving towards RISE, when we think about it, they don't want us moving or working towards just compliance and regulatory and just keeping the lights on. They want our development dollars moving towards the future. They want us moving into industry applications. How can we better your lives and your businesses today, as opposed to keeping up with all of the compliance, the regulatory that we have to do back in ECC. I mean, we spend, on average, $8 billion a year right now on security. That's huge for our RISE customers and our customers moving to cloud ERP. It's not just RISE, but GROW as well. If anybody has questions about the difference between the two, happy to talk to them, or happy to talk about it in the Q&A section. But we're moving towards cloud ERP, and our security, $8 billion. Think about security as you can operate it as a glass house or a bunker. And we are moving towards a bunker. That's where SAP wants to do. We want one way in, and we're gonna operate it very tightly because we can't afford to have breaches from a security perspective. And people are now attacking more from an individual perspective versus infrastructure. So SAP's job is to really control that. So as we move towards cloud ERP, we want to make sure that we're bringing our customers with us. And again, our customers that are future driven, they want us to move in that direction. They want us to spend the billions of dollars on security, building out business enhancements, automation, AI. They don't want us spending that money, the development dollars, back keeping up those old releases. So we don't want to work with yesterday's logic anymore. Another thing that I think is interesting about RISE, one of the things that we talk with a lot of customers about is, what are your biggest pain points from a business perspective? And they differ whether you talk to IT or business. So we were talking with a CIO, and he said, we're doing fine, SAP. We don't need you to do our managed services. We're doing great running on-premise. And we got through the whole meeting. We were like, that's fine. But let's talk about, what are your pain points? And they said, well, my biggest pain point is the business, because they have this laundry list of things that they'd like me to move towards to meet their business objectives. But I'm over here, I'm keeping the lights on. Everything's running fine. Everything's going great. What that told us is, it's fine that IT is focused in that direction, but they're not enhancing. They're not able to spend the resources to not keep the lights on, but to build out those business enhancements. Let's automate those business processes. Let's see where we can create efficiencies in the business side and work with tomorrow's logic, not yesterday's. Let SAP help you with upgrades, help you with the security that we're spending billions of dollars on. When we find a problem, so we run on average, well, actually it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Right now we're running over 125,000 instances of SAP S/4HANA in the cloud. So for cloud ERP, that crosses development, test, production, but 125,000 instances across our 3 hyperscalers. What that should tell you is, when we find a problem, we fix it for one customer, we fix it for every customer. So if you're running on-premise and not running in the cloud, you're fixing those one by one, where we're fixing them exponentially. And I think that's a big benefit, along with the security. So we want to run that for you. Let us manage those services so that IT can turn around. And in my opinion, this is the fun part, because when I used to do finance consulting, my favorite thing was writing code, creating lots of technical debt for people. Not great, but I did love to do it. Didn't know where that was going to put us 30 years later. But let us do the mundane, keep the lights on, so that you can focus on the thousands of enhancements that SAP has been doing since you maybe haven't been able to upgrade. Let's implement those enhancements. Let's build AI together. Let's start focusing on the future where the business wants to go. Automation, AI, that's the forward thinking. And that's why SAP really wants to help our customers move towards cloud ERP. Managed services, let us take care of that so that you can focus on those greater enhancements. I think that's where we really want to talk about today, is the AI stuff. So I am going to stop talking and hand it over to Shruti.
Thank you, Tammy. All right. Yeah, the trust versus hype. Let's talk about what's real on the ground and what customers are doing. So Tammy said she spent 30 years, not to be surprised. No one can ever guess she spent 30 years at SAP. I've spent 20 years. I started with SAP back when it was my SAP SRM, for those of you who are from procurement, even before the Business Suite days. So I've seen SAP products evolve, and I've led engineering teams, product teams through these evolutions. So really, what is trust and what is hype? And we are observing this amongst our customers. So 4% of them are using it when it's banned in their company. A majority of them are using it as sort of under the hood. They're playing under the shadow of IT. Some of them, around 22% of them, they have officially funded proofs of concept. So they have tie-ups with OpenAI, they have tie-ups with Anthropic, AWS, so on and so forth. Of that, 18% is productively deployed, but there is no return on investment. These are fun use cases that usually IT organizations are playing with. And finally, what we've observed by talking to customers and our partners in our ecosystem, through these fun POCs that customers are building by themselves, 3% is what is truly productively deployed and has a return on investment. So where does SAP really come in, and what is generative AI really useful for? So generative AI, the first thing, AI is not new. I think over the last week, if you've learned anything, is that AI is not new. AI has been around for decades. Traditional ML has been used for predicting and forecasting and everything else. What is new, or what is relatively new over the last couple of years, is generative AI. So the first thing we want to talk about is generative experiences. Where within our product suites, from HR to CX to supply chain to finance to procurement, where can we add generative experiences, right? Can we generate product descriptions for product catalog upload? Can we generate compensation insights? All of you in this room are going to have a compensation cycle, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months. And you need to talk about employee compensation. So how do I get insights about what was John's compensation in the last 5 years? Where does he sit on the sliding scale of pay grade? Do I need to award him more RSUs to bring him or her up? So these are the kind of sort of generative experiences they're looking for. Second is generative answers, right? Q&A, and this could be, and I'll talk more about in the context of SAP, but this is unstructured data. You're asking it certain questions. It could be based on your company policy or actual data sitting in your system. And finally, generative actions, where it's actually taking some action around generating code or making an actual execution of transaction on your behalf. So there are 3 patterns within SAP that we observe. One is embedded. SAP builds it as part of the product and ships it out to you. Second is bolt-on. So bolt-on is, you could use a partner solution that extends, AI solution that extends our processes and our capabilities. And then finally is custom-built applications that run side by side to SAP applications. And I'll talk a little bit about how you can use these 3 patterns in our product portfolio. First and foremost, let's talk about Joule. Joule is our Copilot. It's SAP's Copilot, and it sits on top of all of our products. So over the last couple of days, I've spent talking to customers. They often ask us, is Joule for S4? Is Joule for SuccessFactors? Is Joule for CX? Wouldn't it be cool if Joule could talk across all of the products? So how many of you think Joule is independent of products, and how many of you think that Joule is cross-product? It's one Joule. The former, one Joule? Anybody for one Joule? 2, 3, 4 people? You're right. It's one unified Joule. So let's say you have an entitlement for the ERP system, S4, in the cloud, and you have SuccessFactors. So you're in the S4 system, you're looking at John's purchase orders, and you're like, okay, let me see, John has created purchase orders in the last 6 months worth 5 million. Let me look at who his boss is, or who his manager is, or what his cost center is. And within that S4 instance, you can ask an HR-specific question. It'll automatically go to SuccessFactors, and if you have the right role and the right authorization to in the SuccessFactors system, it will fetch you the response within that interface itself. So it's interconnected. So whatever cloud, or Joule works only for cloud products. So whatever cloud products you have from SAP, Joule acts as one digital co-pilot that sits on top of all of them. Second, let's see a quick demo. It's hard to read, but it's available in English and German and coming soon in multiple other languages around the world. There are 3 patterns or 4 patterns. One is to be launched at the end of this month, but 3 patterns that are available today. So what are the 3 conversational patterns that you can do with Joule? The first one is navigational. You can ask it a question like, show me purchase order 123, and it will navigate to the purchase order 123. What it simply does is it's better UX and it's slightly more productive for your end users, right? For those of you who've used SAP systems, you have to go to the workspace, click on another button, then click on another button, finally search for purchase order 123, then it pops up. In this, just ask, show me purchase order 123, it shows up. Again, Joule sits on top of the product. It does not bypass roles and authorization. So if you're not authorized to view a particular object, you're not going to see it. The second pattern is informational. You can ask a question, right? How do I create a purchase order? How do I create an RFQ? How do I, for me, the most asked question usually is I forget how to create a position ID when someone leaves, and I constantly have to look up documentation on how to create a position ID in the org chart and SuccessFactors. So how do you create a position ID? So it'll answer, give you some guidance on how to. So it sort of looks at blogs, communities, so on and so forth. The third one is transactional. Now you can say update purchase order 123 from quantity 10 to quantity 20. So we've covered navigational, we've covered informational. The third thing that Joule can do today is transactional. So you can actually update, you can update your address, you can update your last name, hopefully not too many times, but you can update your last name, and you can update basically CRUD operations in the system. The fourth one, which is the most interesting and is to the left over there, is analytical. That's the one that's getting launched, the conversation pattern that's getting launched at the end of December. That's analytical. So you can ask questions like, show me attrition to hiring ratio, and it will call SAC in the back end and bring you the analytical chart. So whatever you would like to interact in your system across multiple landscapes, you can do it in Joule as one unified Joule. Now, however, I have to caveat, the goal for SAP is to cover 80% of most used transactions. So there is a Joule use case repository. There's a link available online on our help portal. If you search for Joule use cases, you'll find it. So 80% of most used tasks, that means every screen, which are thousands of screens at SAP, is not going to be covered. The goal by the end of the year is to cover 80% of the most used tasks. Eventually, we'll enrich our content library and cover everything, but the goal is to have 80% of the most used tasks being covered by this pattern. A couple of things more to add on Joule. We have document grounding. Document grounding today, if you have company policies, right? I'm constantly looking at what is the paid leave policy in Canada versus the paid leave policy in America or in India if you're managing global teams. So you can put all of your documents in a SharePoint site. Today we support integration to Microsoft SharePoint site. You can put all of your documents in a Microsoft SharePoint site, ground it, and then Joule will answer the question. It'll go read up, because I don't know what your paid leave policy is. SAP doesn't know it. So you can ground it in the truth of your policies and then have Joule respond. So these are some interaction patterns that is available. Again, this sits on top of all of our product capabilities that you can see listed. It's GA today for SuccessFactors and S4 Private. S4 Public, Fieldglass, IBP, PLM, IAC, Fieldglass are all meant to be launched in the next 2 months. They're ready. They're going to be launched over a period of next 2 months in different phases. All right, let's talk about, now we talked about Copilot quite a bit. So now let's talk about our embedded AI capabilities, right? What is SAP actually building in our products? This is just one example. There are 100 plus generative AI use cases that we've already delivered, and over 150 that are in the roadmap. So for example, let's talk about project-based financial insights. I'm not going to walk you through the top part of the chart. It's before AI. Everybody who's used project-based financial insights know that it's manual. So today you use it to record the transaction in the system. With embedded AI, with this capability, essentially what you're making Joule do is provide you, one, a detailed project summary of what has happened. So that's the generative experience that I was talking about. And second, with the analytical capabilities, you can have detailed analysis of margins and profitability within that project that you had built. So I'm now going to, yeah. Another one of them is writing tasks every day, right? So today in SuccessFactors, you can do job description generation, goal generation. So again, you're coming, whenever your annual cycle for goal generation is, interview question generation, compensation insights generation. If you're using CX products, product description generation. So it does a lot of writing tasks for you as an assistant. So you don't have to write it all the time, and essentially saving your time. Second is it also generates reports based on metrics and capabilities that you have to collect from various different sources. This example is for sustainability. It also generates comprehensive reports on your behalf. So how embedded AI can support in your transformation with RISE, which is why we're all here. First, and this is where my team can help, is first thing, if you are a prospective RISE customer or you are already on RISE and want to know, and irrespective of whether you just have S4 or whether you have a whole suite of other cloud products with SAP, ask for a Jumpstart AI discovery workshop, right? What we do is we bring in our experts. We have industry experts, solution experts. We bring all of our AI experts and industry experts in, and we build you a roadmap. So if you are too overwhelmed on, hey, where do I start? You're telling me about Joule, you're telling me about embedded AI, and soon I'm going to talk to you about custom AI. So where do I start? This is the place. This is ideally, the format of the workshop is we will have functional executives from your company get together and identify business pain points. Then we identify from the list of that business pain points, here are the ones that you can solve out of the box today with embedded AI. Here are the things that are on the roadmap and you can wait for it. And here are the things you can build custom. So that's the AI discovery workshop. Then someone from my team can come help you. If you don't know how to set up Joule, the prerequisites of Joule is setting up your IAS, your IPS, and your work zone. Again, as of today, in the US, you just have to sign a $0 Joule contract to get started, and that's it. Someone from SAP, if you don't know how to set it up, someone from SAP can help you set that up as well. So we help with activation support of embedded use cases of Joule. We help you build an AI roadmap of everything that you want to see embedded as well as custom, and provide architecture support to help you achieve that. We also leverage certain tools, right? So the beauty of SAP is we have business transformation tools in-house. Not sure if everyone knows, but we have Signavio and we have LeanIX. So a couple of things that help us, help you in this process is we do process analyzer. We look at your end-to-end process. So if you've not yet been a RISE customer, if you have not yet undergone the RISE journey, we can help you with process analyzer, process to text insights. These are, again, capabilities, AI capabilities within Signavio that you can leverage. Your inventory builder of your processes, and basically Joule for enterprise architecture that you can use for your enterprise processes. We can also look at your code. So for those of you who have not undergone the RISE transformation and know that you have legacy code, some of it written like 20, 30 years ago, you don't know what to do with it, you're too scared to touch it. We have code analyzers that analyze what the code does. We also have code generators. So if you want to refactor that code to fit to S4, we have code generator capabilities in SAP Build. And finally, this helps you prepare for your RISE journey. Let me talk about, sort of customized AI or AI foundation. I want to take a pause there. I know it was a lot to dump on you in the first 15 minutes. Is there a quick question that anyone wants to ask to clarify before I go on to building custom AI and why BTP? Okay. All right, then we'll assume questions at the end. All right, so I spoke about code generation. I'm going to skip it. This is what I want to talk about. And the last 4 days I've been here, everybody is surprised to hear about Generative AI Hub. Personally, in my experience, this is the best thing you can leverage as a SAP customer on BTP. So what is Generative AI Hub? Generative AI Hub is an AI hub on BTP that first and foremost is a collection of all models you can possibly imagine. If you want Amazon's Titan, Amazon's Nova released 2 days ago. If you want Gemini, if you want 4o, Mistral, Cohere, Cloud from Anthropic, anything. We have over 25 models available. It's a little screenshot you can see on the left where you can choose the model. We have 25 models available. This is because of our partnerships that we have with Anthropic, with Mistral, with Cohere, with AWS, with Google, with Microsoft, and everybody in between. Why this is important? We abstract the complexity for you as a business customer to choose these LLM providers, and we take care of the pricing and contracting as part of BTP for you. All that you have to do is figure out how to solve your business problem, and you can choose any of these LLMs to build a custom application that you want to build to extend your business processes or your business scenarios. Second, it also gives you an internal launchpad to play with. So the left-hand side is within your SAP BTP environment that you can choose any model, and you can ask it any questions to see how it performs. Second, let's talk about Knowledge Graph. This is something that is not yet released. Generative AI Hub has been released for quite a bit, and our customers who are using it love it. SAP Knowledge Graph. So think of a scenario. Everybody has heard about AI hallucinations, right? Think of a scenario. Yes, navigational is great. Yes, informational is great. Think of a scenario where you're asking it an analytical question. Show me my outstanding sales order, or show me my outstanding purchase orders. And if it says it's $5, but in reality, it's probably 5 million. Now, would that kind of hallucination be acceptable at an enterprise level? No. That is why knowledge graphs comes into picture. Knowledge graph is sort of grounded in truth and finds more accurately, more than SQL, what is the actual result. So for example, there's a little demo here. It says, show me the last 3 purchase orders. So it will go and retrieve the last 3 purchase order or the last 3 value of the purchase order, making the results of your analytical query more accurate. And this is typically, so you can see the value, the purchase orders, so on and so forth. So the value of this is grounded in truth and exponentially more accurate through Knowledge Graph integrated with Joule. So we have already 100+ partners engaging and building applications on BTP. So you don't have to build everything custom. We have partners already building applications on BTP. So to extend, if you have industry-specific applications or you simply want to extend your business processes, our partners are already building on BTP and have it available for you. And you can see the list of partnerships that I've mentioned. This is just a small list. We have more than 25 partnerships here. One other thing that I would like to point out on the BTP Foundation itself. First, on Generative AI Hub, we also provide orchestration. So for example, if you want to do data masking, let's say you want to call GPT, your data is sitting in SAP, you have your Generative AI Hub in SAP, but you're like, I don't want to send my HR data there for my custom application. One, of course, we have confidentiality clause on what our partners can and cannot do with customer data. They cannot use it to train their models. But more importantly, you can also mask your data. So for example, you can mask someone's name, someone's address, so anonymize it as much as possible. So the redacted version of your transaction records is what you can send. Second, you also have filtering. So if you choose GPT as a model or Cohere as a model, when it comes back, obviously these are business users, these are not personal end users using it on their personal computers. You can put explicit filters on it so that the responses are more curated and acceptable. So these are some of the things you can do, of course, on BTP. I'm not going to run a session on BTP, but you can do, we have the HANA vector engine, we have a translation hub, we have data attribute recommender, we have document extraction, all of the good things that you can use to build your custom applications on BTP. And that's why it's business technology platform. We are not a cloud platform or a hyperscaler like AWS. Whatever service we provide is tailored for you to solve your business problems in context of your business. All right. This is already available online. Not many people know it, and I kind of forgot to put the link here. There is, if you Google, or not Google, if you search Discovery Center, SAP Discovery Center AI feature catalog, all of this is available on the AI feature catalog. Anything SAP releases is available in the AI feature catalog, and it's very easy to search. You just click on show me everything that SAP has in procurement, and it will list everything. If you click on it, it shows you all the features, capabilities, help documentation, how to activate it, everything. So it's just one portal, one-stop shop for all features at SAP. And these are some upcoming features and highlights. Again, available on our roadmap, roadmap.sap.com, search by AI, filter by product. You can find all of this available on there. With that, our presentation comes to an end, almost 25 minutes in advance. So I would thank you all for being a very patient audience, and we would love to open it for questions. No. Thank you.